Welcome back, viewers. Now I am explaining the nature and definition of tort, which is very useful for the law students to understand the twist. That means the tort. The word tort has been derived from the Latin term tortum, which means to twist. Thus, tort means a contact which is not straight or lawful, but on the other hand, twisted, crooked, or unlawful. It is equivalent to the English term wrong. The law of torts consists of various torts or wrongful acts whereby the wrongdoers violate some legal rights vested in another person. The law imposes a duty to respect the legal rights vested in the members of the society, and the person making a breach of that duty is said to have done the wrongful act. As crime is a wrongful act which results from the breach of a duty recognized by criminal law, a breach of contract is the non-performance of a duty undertaken by a party to a contract. Similarly, tort is a breach of duty recognized under the law of torts. For example, violation of a duty not to injure the reputation of someone else results in the tort defamation. Violation of a duty not to interfere with the possession of land of another person results in the tort of trespass to land, and the violation of a duty not to defraud another results in the tort of deceit. We may define tort as a civil wrong which is redressable by an action for unliquidated damages and which is other than a mere breach of contract or breach of trust. Thus, it may be observed that first thing, tort is a civil wrong. Second one, the civil wrong is other than a mere breach of contract or breach of trust. And third one is this wrong is redressable by an action for unliquidated damages. Now we come to that. Tort is a civil wrong. How? Tort belongs to the category of civil wrongs. The basic nature of civil wrong is different from a criminal wrong. In the case of a civil wrong, the injured party, that is, the plaintiff, institutes civil proceedings against the wrongdoers, that is, the defendant. In such a case, the main remedy is damages. The plaintiff is compensated by a defendant for an injury caused to him by the defendant. In the case of a criminal wrong, on the other hand, the criminal proceedings against the accused are brought by the state. Moreover, in the case of a criminal wrong, the individual who is the victim of the crime, that is, the sufferer, is not compensated. Justice is administered by punishing the wrongdoer. In such a case, it is, however, possible that the same act done by a person may result in two wrongs, a crime as well as a tort. At the same time, in such a case, both the civil and the criminal remedies would concurrently be available. There would be civil action requiring the defendant to pay compensation as well as a criminal action awarding punishments to the wrongdoer. Secondly, tort is other than a mere breach of contract or breach of trust. How? Tort is that civil wrong which is not exclusively any other kind of civil wrong. If we find that the only wrong is a mere breach of contract or breach of trust, then obviously it would not be considered to be a tort. Thus, if a person agrees to purchase a radio set and thereafter does not fulfill his obligation, the wrong will be a mere breach of contract. It is only by the process of elements that we may be able to know whether the wrong is a tort or not. First, we have to see whether the wrong is civil or criminal. If it is a civil wrong, it has to be further seen if it exclusively belongs to another recognized category of civil wrongs, like breach of contract or breach of trust. If it is found that it is neither a mere breach of contract nor any other civil wrong, then we can say that the wrong is a tort. It may be noted that there is a possibility that the same act may amount to two or more civil wrongs, one of which may be a tort. For example, if a delivers his horse to B for safe custody for a week, and a B allows the horse to die of starvation, B's act amounts to two wrongs: breach of contract of bailment and commission of tort of negligence. Since both the wrongs are civil wrongs and damages is the main remedy for any kind of civil wrong, the plaintiff can claim damages either under the law of tort for negligence or for the breach of contract of bailment. He cannot claim damage twice. The third definition is tort is redressable by an action for unliquidated damages. How to understand? Damages is the most important remedy for a tort. After the wrong has been committed, generally it is the money compensation which may satisfy the injured person, injured party. After the commission of the wrong, it is generally not possible to undo the harm which has already been caused. If, for example, the reputation of a person has been injured, the original position cannot be restored back. The only thing which can be done in such a case is to see what is the money equivalent to the harm by way of defamation, and the sum so arrived at is asked to be by the defendant to the plaintiff. There are other remedies also which could be available when the tort is committed. It is also just possible that sometimes the other remedies may be more effective than the remedy by way of damages. For example, when a continuing wrong like nuisance is being committed, the plaintiff may be more interested in the remedy by way of injunction to stop the continuance of nuisance rather than claiming compensation from time to time if the nuisance is allowed to be continued. The idea of mentioning the remedy by way of damages in the definition is just to explain the nature of the wrong. Apart from that, the fact that damages is the most important remedy for tort, and generally it is the only remedy after the tort is committed, indicates that the wrong is a civil wrong rather than a criminal wrong. Damages in the case of a tort are unliquidated. It is this fact which enables us to distinguish tort from other civil wrongs like breach of contract or breach of a trust, whether the damages may be liquidated. Liquidated damages means such compensation which has been previously determined or agreed to by the parties. When the compensation has not been so determined but the determination of a same is left to the discretion of the court, the damages are said to be unliquidated. It is possible in the case of a contract that the contracting parties at the time of making of the contract may make a stipulation as records the amount of compensation payable by either of the parties in the event of a breach of the contract. If it is genuine, pre-estimate of the compensation for the breach of contract, it will be known as liquidated damages. There is no possibility of any such predetermination of damages by the parties in the case of a tort. Generally, the parties are not known to each other until the tort is committed, and moreover, it is difficult to visualize beforehand the quantum of loss in the case of a tort, and therefore the damages to be paid or to be determined at the discretion of the court. Such damages therefore are unliquidated.